attention of His Excellency Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, Senior Advocate of Nigeria and Governor of Lagos State, in rendering an account of stewardship to the citizens of the state from time to time. Such openness and high level of dedication are characteristic only of a true democrat and a leader of great repute as epitomized in His Excellency. We therefore thank the Almighty God for the gift of life and for guiding us to impact positively on physical planning and urban development of the state. The importance of the ministry in ordering and reordering the landscape of the state is overwhelming. It ensures the integration, harmonization, and coordination of public and private development, taking due cognizance of natural and cultural forces. Hence, it has consistently and persistently focused on the following: rebuilding Lagos as a model city-state, pursuing systematic physical planning for sustainable development, developing reliable database for physical planning, and providing enhanced partnership for inclusive governance in view of the spectacular nature of the physical and socio-economic features of the state. Lagos State is peculiar, and the Lagos megacity is strikingly 22.5 million this year with a growth rate of 3.2% by the Lagos State Bureau of Statistics Studies. That makes Lagos State peculiar. This population is concentrated on a landmass of 3,577 square meters, constituting only 0.4% of the nation's landmass, and a population density of about 20 persons per square meter, while growing at 600,000 persons per annum, which is 10 times that of New York. Strategically, the state remains the engine room of Nigeria's development. It is the industrial, commercial, and financial hub of the nation with the following attributes. It consumes 45% of the petroleum products in the country. It has 40% of bank branches. It has 40% of telecom subscribers. It is accountable for 50% PHCN power transmission and consumption, and 80% of international travels originate from Lagos. The above statistics collectively impose other demands on the state, hence the need for physical planning to guide and regulate its development. The ministry during the last 12 months continued in the preparation of development plans. These included higher order and lower order plans, which ultimately ensure order, beauty, and convenience. When we refer to higher order, we talk about the master plans. And then when we talk about the lower order plans, we talk about action plans. For example, the plan we're working on for the mortar and its environs. Significantly, both levels of plans will open a new vista in investment opportunities, which will enhance multimodal transportation as practicalized in the Apapa Model City Plan, private estate development, integrated human settlement, development of smaller cities within the larger city, which has featured places like entertainment city, exhibition city, and iconic complexes, etc., and also the international airport. Let me state that investors in various sectors have been approaching the ministry and all the relevant MDAs. This is the advantage that fiscal planning affords when effectively done. Without mincing words, with all the operative development plans, the vision of Lagos being Africa's model megacity is gradually unfolding. Specifically, the ministry worked on and completed 3 development plans in the year under review. One of such is the recently completed review of Ikoyi Victoria Island Model City Plan. The review became necessary in order to respond positively to the physical demographic, cultural, and socio-economic dynamism prevalent in the state. The final draft of the review is proposed for final public presentation in a few weeks from now. Further efforts led to the completion of the Apapa Model City Plan and Agege Ifakoijaye Model City Plan. The Apapa Model City Plan was presented to the Executive Council this year and was approved, while the Agege Ifakoijaye final plan was presented at an impressive and overwhelming stakeholders forum, which held on Wednesday, 16th May 2014, for comments and final. May I say that all of the three plans that I mentioned were prepared by, let me use the word of the strategists, by the prolific town planners that we have in the regional and master plan. During the period under review, the ministry embarked on the establishment of the various right-of-ways for transportation routes and utilities, such as gas, electricity, petroleum, water, telecommunications, and other services. The task was undertaken to ensure safety of lives and property, easy transportation of people, goods, and services in the state. The ministry, apart from establishing the various rights of ways, also facilitated the removal of encumbrances along the alignment. In the same vein, we sensitized the public on the need to stay clear of the right of ways by placing advertorials early this year in some national dailies, showing sketches of the utilities and infrastructure and the required setbacks. This is to ensure that projects are implemented with minimum discomfort. You will find details of that in the booklet with you. The ministry continued its upgrading and regeneration drive of parts of Lagos Island. In 2013, we reported the progress made on the Isale-Gongo regeneration project, which was then at the first floor level, being prepared for casting. 12 months after, we are happy to report that that project is at the 9th floor level. It is an 11th floor complex, which we hope will be completed before the next ministerial press briefing. Hope will report to you next year that people are already inhabiting the complex. Appreciable progress was equally made on the redevelopment plan of part of Princess, Old Aroloya, and Anikontama streets, Lagos Island. We have coded this project Isale-Gongo Phase 2. Several stakeholder meetings were held, which have led to the conclusion of the resettlement plans for the participating families. The project, when completed, will improve the socio-economic profile of that community. Plans are being concluded on the regeneration of the Ojokiwa and Okoya Street axis. Perhaps our most recent success is in the redevelopment plan for Dolphin Estate, phases 1 to 4, Identity Adele. The Lagos State government has been in a long discussion with the stakeholders over the years, to the extent that it had been taken as a project that will never manifest. Discussions on this project started before I came to government. However, the unrelenting efforts of the Lagos State Urban Renewal Agency, LASURA, led to further engagement with the residents, and their studies showed that the Phase 1 extension area was available for the takeoff of the program. I am pleased to announce that we were able to get the sign-off of the stakeholders, and I crave your indulgence to read the text message forwarded to me by the Chairman Residents Association, Phases 1 to 4 Identity Addition, Phases 1 to 4 Identity Addition, only last week. Honorable Commissioner, sir, on behalf of the executive and entire members of the Representative Council of Dolphin and Ikontama, Identity Adele Residents Administration, express our profound appreciation to His Excellency, the Governor of Lagos State, yourself, the General Manager of LASURA, and his team for your prompt action in salvaging the lives of the 30 families that occupy the 5 blocks of flats at phase 1 extension of the housing estate. Words are inadequate in expressing how grateful we are. Our prayer is that the Almighty God will continue to protect, guide, and bless the entire members of your families all the days of your life. Thank you, and God bless you. The formal letter will follow. F.O.K. Soin. Just before I dispense with the issue of regeneration, let me report that appreciable progress has been made on the relocation of the Okobaba sawmilling industry from Ebutemeta to Agbowa in Ikosi Ejiri LCDA. It is our flagship regeneration project, which is multidimensional in impact. First, it makes room for the development of a new city in Agbowa and its environs that will catalyze growth and thus bring about an increase in real estate value. Secondly, it provides a specialization center for wood-related industry. Thirdly, it paves way for the cleanup of the entire Okubaba-Makoko axis, ultimately allowing for the regeneration of the highly valued waterfront ambience. Indeed, the jungle of Agbowa is being transformed into a city. To date, 100 council sheds are at various levels of completion. 150 sales offices are at various levels of completion. Shoreline protection is about 60% completed, while sand filling works is making appreciable progress with more than 70% of the work already. On market development, the ministry facilitated the development of market and commercial activities in the state. Plans to relocate the Mile 12 and Ajilogo markets to the proposed Ikorodu Regional Foodstuff Commodities Market at Parafa, Ikorodu, are not off our drawing board. The delay of most government projects, this one inclusive, is partly due to the penchant for violation and encroachment of government-acquired and committed persons of land for overriding public interest. At some point in the journey of our collective development, we must decide who takes priority, a handful of the community or the larger community. In addition, the process of relocation of Computer Village from Ikeja to Gatankowa is still active as we are finalizing discussions with some of the stakeholders before implementation begins. The ministry recorded significant achievement in the area of building plan processing through its agency, the Lagos State Physical Planning Permit Authority last year, by granting approval to a total of 2,067 applications. To further improve service delivery, pre-screening of applications before submission and payment of statutory processing fees was introduced. This measure, I must be quick to say, has helped tremendously to reduce the unnecessary clogging of stillborn applications and prevent avoidable financial losses. In the same vein, clearance was issued on 215 applications for physical planning technical report out of 241 submitted. 21 applications are still under processing, while 2 were rejected for non-compliance with town planning standards. It will interest you to note also that during the period under review, for ease of reference, the list of development permits, building plan approval, granted from the year 2007 to June 2013 was published in the Lagos State Official Gazette and 2 national dailies, including Alausa Alert, details of which are available in the ministry and the agency. The ministry processed and approved various layout plans for both private and public estates. Out of 61 layout applications received, 15 were granted provisional approval, 11 obtained final approval, while 50 applications remain under processing. In-house preparation of development plans for excise villages continued unabated. Some of the excise villages planned include Oloti Village, Badore Village, Awoyaya Village, and Ajambat Village. On building control, the Building Control Agency, compared with the other two agencies, that is Lasura and Lasta, is new, but is gradually finding its feet. In the last 1 year, a total of 7,281 structures were identified and served with contravention notices. 232 buildings were identified as being defective, while 1,939 buildings were sealed for non-compliance, but 395 were later unsealed after compliance, and 16 structures were removed. During monitoring, a total of 94 seals were discovered broken by some recalcitrant developers, but resealed with further sanctions. Every machinery has been put in place to prosecute such erring developers. A total of 14 buildings that collapsed during the period under review due to incidences of fire and structural defects were promptly removed and rubble was scattered away. Let me at this point deeply appreciate the efforts of some whistleblowers whose efforts helped in no small measure to save many lives and reduce the incidence of some imminent collapse. Their whistleblowing came in the way of short message service, emails, and telephone calls. We will continue to welcome every contribution and suggestions that will add value to our environment. The Ministry's inclination to embark on constructive engagement of stakeholders is born out of the fact that it is part of the planning process. It is a democratic process. Power belongs to the people, and it affords better understanding, sharing of ideas, and a sense of belonging. In view of the above, the Ministry organized various fora, symposia, and stakeholder sessions in the last 1 year. Some of these include the stakeholders and management of private estates forum held in Etiosa in July last year, 3rd of July 2013. There was a stakeholders meeting held in Ibeduleki on the 29th January 2014. There was a town hall meeting in Ikorodu on the 6th of March 2014, and a stakeholders meeting held in Dolphin Estate, Lagos Island on the 10th of April 2014, which has led to the effort we made of the redevelopment of that estate. Alongside the constructive engagement of stakeholders by the Ministry, I am delighted to state that the Ministry has particularly enjoyed heartwarming media relations. This has largely been facilitated by the Ministry of Information and Strategy and our reliable correspondent in the built environment, both electronic and print. It would therefore be a mark of ingratitude not to appreciate the Honorable Commissioner, the Special Advisor, the Permanent Secretary, and management staff of the Ministry of Information and Strategy for their unwavering support, and of course, not forgetting also the Lagos Governor's Office correspondence. Relating to other services and activities, I'm happy to report that we have synergy with other MDAs. The Ministry during the period under review collaborated with other ministries, departments, and agencies, especially the Ministries of Transport, Rural Development, Housing, Health, Environment, Agriculture, Commerce and Industry, Works and Infrastructure, Youth and Sports, Waterfront Infrastructure Development, Lands Bureau, Science and Technology, and Education, in order to forge ahead and achieve a livable Lagos megacity of our dreams. On cable car, we say that it is another effort of government in achieving multimodal transportation development. It is designed to facilitate public transportation, complementing other modes. We are pleased to report that a total of 22 locations have been identified for both stations and towers. And it is important to report that the project promoters have taken possession of all the identified sites for construction works to take place. As we speak, speaks of soil investigation is already ongoing on most of the locations. CCTV camera. The ministry, in conjunction with the Ministry of Police Affairs, facilitated the installation of 1,000 CCTV cameras in strategic locations in the state. Following that exercise, the state government has also indicated plans to ramp up on the project. The ministry has therefore identified some black spots and other sensitive areas. Enhanced crime prevention. Enhanced crime prevention mechanism in the state. Inventory of event centers. The ministry studied and evaluated the adequacy or otherwise of some of the existing event centers in the state, and hence came up with the following basic planning requirements: adequate parking facilities for ingress and egress, fiscally challenge friendly in terms of their basic needs, for example, parking, entrance ramp, and toilet facilities, adequate toilet facilities, effective traffic management, provision of adequate gangways within the premises, soundproof hall, etc. Provision of closed circuit television to enhance security. On planning information, the ministry provided planning information on development guidelines, on applications submitted with a view to granting developers and owners the status of their land in terms of approvable use, maximum height, density, etc. The planning guidelines assist real estate investors in deciding on appropriate areas of investment and thus curbing uncoordinated development. Suffice to say that during the period under review, a total of 230 applications for planning information were received and 120 have been concluded. 57 are still under processing, while 53 are without documents. The planning information process has been facilitated by the Geographic Information System. GIS remains a veritable tool in the area of priority site selection, spatial coverage and needs analysis, mapping and upgrading, land suitability analysis, etc. On archival and retrieval of approvals, the ministry's effort to ensure update of records and retrieval of information on old approved building files has continued with the scanning, electronic storage, and archival of the plans. To enhance the process, steel racks have been appropriately designed to accommodate the scanned documents for safe storage. To date, 41,451 files have been scanned, representing documents for 18 of the 20 classified districts. Another 8,549 files already scanned are awaiting quality assurance to conclude the process. Invariably, it will be possible for people to come to the ministry or its agency to seek information on plans that were approved years ago, which will be possible because of this effort. On capacity building, the ministry, in conjunction with the Ministry of Establishment, Pensions and Training and Public Service Staff Development Center, PSSDC, trained different cadres of staff. There was a one-day enlightenment program for the Honorable Commissioner, Permanent Secretary, and Management on the application of Geographic Information System, GIS, to mark the World GIS Day. As we speak, there is an e-chatting training for some officers on grade levels 8 to 12 of the ministry going on at PSS DC Magodo. The training, expected to be a training the trainers model, is designed to sharpen the skills of the above cadre officers. On innovation, to enhance the entire fiscal planning and documentation process, the ministry is at present exploring the use of the Spatial Location-Based Application Software, SLDA. It is designed to implement sustainable planning model development, reduce human errors in building approval processes, and enhance relative search engine with various tools. Conclusion. As I bring this account of stewardship to an end, I cannot but underscore the tremendous support of His Excellency, Mr. Babatunde Raji Fashola, whose visionary leadership has challenged the thinking process of the ministry and gingered us to realize that work is fun. Permit me to acknowledge the cooperation we enjoyed from professionals in the built environment, as well as other stakeholders of equal repute. We are especially grateful to some of the financial institutions, real estate developers, and friends of the ministry whose support and sponsorship aided the success of some of our programs like the World Habitat Day. On a final note, I wish to specifically thank the gentlemen of the press for the effective coverage of all our events, but for your support, most of our efforts would have amounted to winking in the dark. I see that we like the press more than the government. We will continue to strive hard to meet public expectation while we rely on the support of everybody, believing that together we will build a very mega city of our dream. Our hope in the year ahead is for better performance to ensure that we do not only finish well, but finish strong. I thank you all for listening.
Of the banks everywhere, and you see that many of them did not get approval before erecting such branch. But in your speech, it's not there. You want to do what your ministry is doing about what is the objective?
Every good city starts with a plan. Every good plan gets implemented. To implement every good plan requires discipline. So if you set out at the beginning of your life that you are going to study medicine, it takes good planning to know that you must go through the subjects of mathematics, physics, biology, chemistry. If in the choice of your subject at WAEC level, you decided to take Yoruba, Christian religious knowledge, history, English, and literature, jettisoning all the subjects I called before, you are unlikely to become a medical doctor. Yes. Because you did not apply discipline in the choice of your subjects. So in the development of cities, a lot of discipline is required, not just on the part of the government, but on the part of the people. Because indeed, every government is a product of the people. So people get the kind of government that they deserve because every member in government was taken out of that same society. So which brings me to the issue of acquisitions. Now, acquisitions were part of the developmental process of the state. And those acquisitions are not just coming as new. There have been global acquisitions that were declared when Chief Obafemi Awolowo was Premier of Western Region. So, I'm sure some of those acquisitions will predate some of us here, and while some of us even know when those acquisitions were made. So, acquisitions have always been there, and the records have always been there. I refuse to take sides with those that say that poor people now go on land and go and build their houses. Now, I do not want to believe that poor people don't think enough. Because really, it's the man that is poor that does not have resources to waste, that should really think before he spends. And this is where the issue of discipline comes in. People are supposed to get information for everything they do. If you have scarce resources, economists will tell you that you really have to plan and prioritize. So, and like somebody said, he said, the first law of money, there are two laws of money. The first law of money is don't lose your money. The second law is don't forget the first law. So if you are going to build, knowing that you are using scarce resources, the first thing to do is to get information to know whether that land is acquired or not. Now, I will use Parafa as an example for you. Parafa is an acquisition that had been done long time ago. Now, the NTDA has a scheme in that area that has been done in the 80s. When government earmarked that place for development, the communities there, Parafa, Jaladugo, and Parafa, there are 3 Parafas, requested for excision, which government granted them. It was supposed to be a 90-hectare land for the regional market. So it wasn't new. But the same families that got acquisition decided to sell the part of the government and not their own. So I wouldn't think that we should pamper indiscipline. We should not encourage ignorance. We should rather encourage people to get enlightened. That for them to develop, they have to follow the law. The poor man should realize that any structure that he puts on ground, let's assume there is no acquisition. Let's assume there is no acquisition. Any structure put on ground by a poor man who refused to apply for development permit is an illegal development. So let's advise the poor man first to recognize that there is law in the land and that every one of us must strive to obey the law. Data on land acquired you will get from the Lands Bureau and the Surveyor General's office. That's why there's a process called charting. Even if you submitted your plan for a permit in the planning office, the first thing, one of the first processes that will be done is to first check whether it's in government acquisition or not. So if you seek information from government, government itself will guide you. Then why do we wait for people to develop before we demolish? Or why do we wait for robbers to strike before we start running after them? Truth is that we can't be everywhere at the same time. And I don't know of this country, but I know in some other countries, like in UK, in US, if you committed an offense and it didn't catch you, if it's 30 years after that you are caught, you still serve your punishment. So you can ask your lawyer. Thank you, sir. So it's not about when they build. We like throwing pity parties in this side of the world. When you drive and someone is driving against you, and you know you own the right of way, and you stop and you say you must reverse, just wait for another 3 minutes, and then you will get about 10 other Nigerians call, Oga, why don't you just reverse? Just reverse a bit for him so that he can go. And when you refuse and insist on your right, you say, you see, these educated people, they don't want. So we must engage in right behavior, and that's when we begin to develop right. Shopping complexes in front of various buildings are issues that we are tackling. We, for example, have an inventory of a particular estate, and we have about 200 of them. When you ask some of us why they have those shops, some say they just retired, what do we want them to do? Some say that there's no job in the country, they are managing. We throw all kinds of excuses. Truth is that the law does not permit siting shops except it is within the approved building plan already granted. We're working maybe slow, and that's why you think that they put it up, we didn't see them, and now we're knocking it down. It doesn't change the law. If you pass one way 10 times and you are not caught, it doesn't change the law. The day you are caught, you will pay. The location of cable cars, I said there are 22 stations. I don't have that offhand, but if you visit the Physical Planning Department of the Ministry, the director will afford you that information. On bank branches, banks, as far as we know, have applications with the Lagos State Physical Planning Permit Authority. And as we review their positions, we also grant their approval. There are some of them who have done it as a compendium, bringing all of their branches and asking us to treat them as they are. So, and there are those that come with one application per time. So they are working towards regularizing, and we are working also towards making sure that they are operating within the law. Well, I'm surprised that PM News didn't hear what we said about Okobaba, because the statement I heard from him, if I heard him right, was that nothing has been done. I think it would be good to look at the compendium that you have in your hand so that I just wouldn't waste time. I'm sure many people here are not of the opinion that nothing has been done. Probably you should look at my speech where I said more than 70% sand filling has been done. Can I ask you, have you ever been to that site? Kazim, PMU.
Yeah, I'll be there.
When did you go there?
Well,
Not even in 2012 when we started. I invite you to a stakeholders forum on 10th of June when we'll be visiting the place again. So come and join us in the ministry and we'll take you there. And all the local members that are interested, please join us 10th of June. There was no time that I said or the ministry said that there should be no building on weekends and public holidays. What we said was that we discovered that people use weekends and public holidays to build, believing that we do not work on those days. And I said we have also decided to work on those days. That's why some of us go to site on Sundays, some of us go to site on Saturdays, some of us go on public holidays so that we may discover those infractions. Thank you very much.
Yeah, Honorable Commissioner, thank you. As part of our innovation at the Ministry of Information and Strategy, there are questions coming to you online on our Twitter handle. Follow at LDSG. The Rock asks, does the ministry know what is going on at Jigme More new site? What people are building and how they are building, if it is according to plan? That is the first question with Jigme More. The second question is from unrefusable offer. Would the link bridge ongoing at Sherry Lincoln Bucknor Estate affect properties surrounding it? That probably might not be your question, but again. Yeah, you said at Sherry, the bridge linking Bucknor and Bucknor Estate and Sherry. Second. Another question from Lukman. What is Lagos State government doing to prevent incessant building collapse in the state? Those are 3 questions. I think we should take them before we join our members of the press again. I will take these questions as we answer them. We will repeat them back to question online. Thank you.
For Ijegun Imore, let me say that we are working all through the state. Now, we will not get everywhere at the same time. And that's what will be responsible for some people building at a particular time that we do not know. And it's also the reason that we threw open our lines for members of the public to raise the red flag anytime they discover any construction ongoing. As a matter of fact, what we say is that when you see someone start digging by your house, whether it's for good or bad, you don't even know whether it's borehole. Let's know, because at the end of the day, you might be affected. And I think that's the advantage that those in some other civilizations have, because everyone is alert, everyone is aware of his environment and is able to alert the relevant authorities. So I will request that we continue to do this more. For some areas, we have been able to respond as fast as we got the alert. And for the benefit of those who don't know, I'd like to say that our dedicated line as a ministry is 0809 999 2653. 0809 999 2653. The Honorable Commissioner's number is 0803 301 3849. 0803 301 3849. The number for the Permanent Secretary is 0803 496 1936. 0803 496 1936. And in case it has to do with control, building control, you want to have the general manager's number is 0812 484 5130. The process. So people, no matter where they are, we have 20 districts of LASPA covering the old 20 local governments of Lagos State. So there is no local government where the planning mechanism is not represented. So people can ask for information and know the places that are developing. We can't develop in the storm path and do not expect to have flood. It's like being by the tap and saying that you don't want to be wet. Okoro, X on buildings may not necessarily mean to be demolished. X on buildings in the first instance calls the attention of the owner of that building. If, for example, I was moving around, it's just that as commissioner I don't carry paint about. So but I see a lot of structures. And once it's on, because I'm not sure whether it has approval, it hasn't displayed any board to give me information, I will just mark. And when he sees it, he knows that somebody has come here. So if in the course of that, he comes to the office and shows me his papers and everything is okay, he will go on with his building. So it's those that end up not complying that will now go further and then take further actions. And for you to demolish, there is first a contravention notice, a stop work notice, a demolition notice, a seal-up notice, a demolition notice, and then you finally demolish. So it takes processes. It's possible you find X and it has been resolved. Not resolved by bringing money, because sometimes we think it's resolved by bringing money. Not resolved by bringing money. There is a case in hand A few weeks ago, I had called GM Laka to send an officer to somewhere along the Oshodi Expressway, and they had gone there and marked. So I did a follow-up check and went into that site, saw their approval, which was laminated. It was there for everyone to see. They kept to their setbacks and airspace. So, sorry, the ex has to go because he has complied. So you will find cases like that, and then you will find other cases that will pursue to further punishment. Once the level of compliance, we are growing, we are getting better. Before, people did it anyhow, but it's getting better by the day. We now have people who come in for land information because they know that if they do it wrong, the site will be sealed. Let me even say that at the top level, and I think that's the example we should borrow from. We have people at the top level of governance. We have traditional rulers who want to develop and send their documents to us and say, please tell me what is developable here. And once we have that, we should be able to follow the example of those leaders, because it means that they are law-abiding and we should be law-abiding. So as long as we do that, we will increase the level of compliance. The buildings in Jakonde, no, the people can't go back there. As a matter of fact, I know that the GM Laka is planning to pull down more buildings once the funds are there. We have to choose whether to live outside of the building and be alive, or to live inside the building and be dead. Unfortunately, you will recall that the building, the first building, the building that collapsed, the others were pulled down. The building that collapsed in Jakonde, some of the tenants backed out and warned their neighbor that the way this building is going, let's move out. And they pray that nothing will happen to them in Jesus' name, you know. And it's part of our style of life. We leave every responsibility to God, you know. And unfortunately, the house collapsed because God also played the ball back to us when we played it to Him. So those people can go back. If they have issues with the rents, they will revert to the Ministry of Special Duties that pay them the first tranche of rent, and they will review their case. The Committee on Building Collapse, yes, has submitted a report, but the white paper is not yet out. So I can't give you any information. When the white paper is ready, the process is that you prepare the white paper, and then the white paper gets to the Executive Council of the state and will take a decision on it. So the white paper hasn't come to the executive at all. The checklist for petrol stations are the desired end. And why we have CCTV is a result of some of the studies we have had. And now that we know that CCTV helps a lot in detecting crime, let me say that when the 1,000 CCTV cameras were being located, because our ministry was anchoring that project for federal government, it was a federal government contract. Now, we were anchoring. I had the privilege of looking at some of the clips. And when I was shown a particular accident in Abuja, there was no way anyone who got there after the accident would understand the way the accident happened, unless you had seen the clips. And interestingly, someone was trying to steal to vandalize the camera somewhere in Abuja. And the camera caught the man trying to do it. So really, those cameras can be vandalized and the people will go scot-free, except we are not ready to work. The CCTV camera, therefore, came up as a further security measure that it will be ideal, so that when anybody comes now to ask for permit for petrol filling station, we will advise that have 1 or 2 CCTV cameras. It helps. Number of petrol filling stations, we work up to LAPCA. That's why we said that we publish the Gazette of approvals from 2007 to June 2013. Details of that will be there. And also the Development Matters Department that is working on petrol filling stations. They will give you the details. The position of Isale Gogon, I mentioned this in our speech. I don't know where this is coming from. Is it from the president? Isale Gogon is at the 9th floor level. Last year it was at 1st floor level. This year it is at the 9th floor level. So, and if we pray and work, by next year people will be living inside. How do we stem? Sorry, I got this question. How do we stem the activities of tank farms cited in Apapa? It's a mega issue, which answer I may not be able to provide here. But I must tell you that it involves the Ministry of Environment, the Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources, it involves Ministry of Transport, it involves NNPC, and also it involves the Department of Petroleum Resources and also Fiscal Planning. Already, the state has an interministerial committee that is domiciled or that